Thank you for your interest in our online ROVER training for birth certificate completion. ROVER has been used to register birth certificates since 2009. ROVER makes data entry and the ability to fill out the necessary forms very quick and efficient. Let's get started. This is ROVER's main page. A couple keys to making your ROVER experience a great one. First, please use Internet Explorer. If you can, find version 9 or 10. Otherwise, ensure you are viewing the web page in compatibility mode. Second, ensure you have Adobe Acrobat Reader installed. These two programs work together to display our website and help you print draft files. They can be downloaded through our first-time users link at the bottom of this page, or by searching Google for them. To start, all you have to do is click the Login button. You will then be taken to a page asking for your username and password. The production site will not have the "This is training" warning you see here. For our example, we are typing in birth training with a preset temporary password. When you log in with your temporary password, you will be asked to create a new one, as well as setting up a personal question and personal answer. Your password must be between 8 and 13 characters in length, contain a number, a special character, and have a mix of upper and lowercase letters. Once you log in, you will be taken to a ROVER starting screen. Here you will see a list of open birth cases that might have been started and not completed, or that might have been rejected by the state for various reasons. If you thought one was completed and you see it on this list, you can click the Details button and read the comments on the case. These comments would be left by the state and would explain why the record was rejected. To correct rejected records, or to complete an unfinished record, you would just click the Process button and enter the record and get started. For this training, we will be entering a new record from scratch. To enter a new birth record on the ROVER starting screen, click on the word Birth. Now click on the words New Live Birth. Now click on the words Create Record. This is the start of entering a birth record. You can see 13 tabs at the top of the ROVER screen, each with a title, such as child, birthplace, etc. Inside the tabs, there are fields you need to enter in information. When navigating between these fields, it is suggested to use the Tab key on the keyboard. This key will move you from field to field, helping ensure you enter the data in an order that ROVER expects. This makes data entry easier by lowering the amount of warnings you will receive about missing expected information. The Child tab contains the name, date, and time of birth, sex, mother's maiden name, and a box for the medical record number. If the child is a foundling, an abandoned infant, or discovered, then you would check the foundling box above the child name. Start at the child's first name and use the Tab key on the keyboard to fill out all the information on this page. Unknown is not an acceptable entry in any of the name portions and will result in the certificate being flagged as incomplete. When finished, click the Next button on the bottom to move to Tab 2. This tab contains several key pieces of information about the mother and paternity. Start by entering the mother's current legal name. Notice that the maiden name copied over from Tab 1. Move on to enter the date of birth and the birthplace before getting to the marital status. The marital status section drives several other choices further down on the record. If the mother is married and the husband is the father, then enter yes and yes. If the mother is married and the husband is not the father, then enter yes and no. If the husband is available to sign the denial of paternity and the biological father is available to sign the acknowledgement of paternity, then check the box indicating Print Affidavit Acknowledging Paternity. This will allow ROVER to print an acknowledgement and denial of paternity form. If the mother was not married, then enter no. If, on any of the options, besides not married, the mother is refusing to give the husband's information, then you will want to check the box Refuses to Give Husband's Information. This box should be checked whether the husband is or is not the father. Please note, item 16 must be entered as no and no in this case. Please explain to the mother that the record will be marked as incomplete and she will not be able to receive a copy of the birth certificate or receive a Social Security card until the information is provided and an additional fee of $25 is paid to the state, per state law. If the mother only gives some of the husband's information, then enter this information in the Comments Among Users box at the end of the record. If she gives all of the information except his Social Security number, you may enter this in the record and enter all nines in the Social Security number box. However, the record will still be marked as incomplete since this information is required by federal law. Item 16 must still be marked as no and no. Also, if the child is not named or deceased, item 16 must be set to no and no. This prevents someone from establishing an identity for someone who is deceased or for a child not named. Every birth will also include a signature page that you must fax into us. The signature page needs to reflect Box 16's choices as well as needing to have all required signatures. You should not hold on to the signature page and wait for the mother to come back and complete it. Please ensure you obtain the signatures right away and fax it in. Missing or incomplete signature pages will result in Box 16 being no and no. After selecting the correct choices and choosing the Affidavit Refusal options, move on to enter the mother's residence address and mailing address. Notice there is a Same as Residence checkbox for mailing address. If you select this box and tab, the information will automatically copy for you. There are two drop-down selections for the Social Security issuance. If permission given to request issue of SSN for child is changed to a yes, then the child should automatically receive a Social Security card without the parent having to go to the Social Security Administration office. If this option is no, then to receive a Social Security number for the newborn, the parent will have to perform the standard steps to get one. The other option, permission given to send birth data to Oklahoma State Department of Health Registries, is set to a yes. Then the state is authorized to send data to public health registries to better track information such as immunization registry, birth defects, etc. Once you have finished making all the selections, click Next to move to tab 3. This tab contains information about the education level, race, and ethnicity, and the SSN phone number of the mother. Please enter the phone number as we sometimes use this information prior to registration. For race, you would select whatever the mother identifies herself as. Multiple selections are okay. For the Hispanic origin, you will notice some options become unavailable when others are selected. None of this information prints on the birth certificate. Please note, if the mother or father were born in the United States, they do have a Social Security number. If they do not provide it, enter all nines and enter no, no in item 16. If the mother or father were born outside of the United States, ask them if they have a Social Security number. If they do not have one, never had one, probably never will get one, enter all eights. This entry does not affect item 16. Once everything is entered, click Next to move to tab 4. This tab may not be visible depending on the selections you entered from tab 2 regarding married and or refused. If this tab is visible, then you will see it looks very similar to tab 2. Enter the father's name, date of birth, birthplace, and contact information. A suffix is if the father is a junior, senior, second, the fourth, etc. Notice there is a checkbox under contact information to make copying the address information easier if it's the same as the mother's. The genetic testing fields will be locked or unlocked depending on the marriage and paternity questions from tab 2 as well. Once everything is entered, click Next to move to tab 5. This tab may not be visible depending on the selections you entered from tab 2 regarding married and refusal. If this tab is visible, then you will see it looks very similar to tab 3. The same rules apply to race and ethnicity as it did in tab 3. The father's Social Security number must be entered. Please note, if the mother or father were born in the United States, they do have a Social Security number. If they do not provide it, enter all 9s and enter no and no in item 16. If the mother or father were born outside of the United States, ask them if they have a Social Security number. If they do not have one, never have had one, probably never will get one, enter all 8s. This entry does not affect item 16. Once everything is entered, click Next to move to tab 6. This tab may not be visible depending on the selections you entered from tab 2 regarding married and refusal. If this tab is visible, then you would have a situation where the mother was married and the husband is denying paternity. If the mother is married, then to enter someone other than the husband on the birth certificate, you must have both a denial and an acknowledgement of paternity form. This tab is very similar to tab 2 and tab 5, and the same rules apply. Please note, you must have both forms prior to the mother being discharged from the hospital, witnessed by hospital staff, including the signature, printed name, and hospital facility name and or address. You may date the parents' signatures if they do not. If there is no date by either of the parents' signatures, the forms are invalid, and the father will be removed according to the form submitted. This date is utilized in order to process a rescission of paternity from either parent and or other legal issues. Once everything is entered, click Next to move to tab 7. As a birth clerk, this tab should have all your information pre-populated. If it is missing, or you are not logged in as a birth clerk, then you may need to manually select the place of birth and the facility. Most facilities are available in the drop-down list, but a few entries for place of birth allow you to manually type in the correct information. If you are unclear on any of this information, please call the New Birth Department at 405-271-4212. Births which occur outside of your facility, en route in an ambulance, etc., are each different. Once everything is entered, click Next to move to tab 8. The doctors that are known to the state are available in a drop-down list for attendant's name and title. If your attendant is missing, please email us the information and we will work to add them to the list for you. Selecting someone from the list auto-populates all the information we have for them, saving you time. Otherwise, you will have to manually enter the information. There is a checkbox under Certifier's Name and Title that will copy the attendant information over if they are the same. If they are different, there is a list of known names for certifiers to choose from. Adding someone to this list would just require an email to us, like for the attendants. Otherwise, you manually enter information here as well. Most birth clerks do not have a national provider ID. Either enter none or leave this box blank. The date certified is the date you enter the record. Once everything is entered, click Next to move to tab 9. This tab contains much of the personal information about the mother and some behaviors during pregnancy. As a state, we report the information you enter here on a national level that uses it to determine healthy practices in states, possible funding for education and prevention, and more. It is vital to get as much accurate information as possible to ensure we, as a state, are able to receive funding and get ranked accordingly. If you can only find out the month and year of any field, enter 12/99/2013, for example. Box 24 has information on induced and spontaneous abortions, as well as other outcomes. If there are none, enter 0. Otherwise, enter the correct amounts. Box 25 has smoking information, starting at 3 months before pregnancy. The prenatal care information is another important piece of information that is reported by our state to a national level. Please ensure you get accurate information to ensure we are reporting correctly. Too much unknown or inaccurate information negatively impacts our state. Once everything is entered, click Next to move to tab 10. This tab contains more information related to health and delivery. Information is tracked and reported here in the same manner as the previous tabs, so it is vital to enter accurate information. Method of delivery, for example, would be used to say that 50% of Oklahoma births are cesarean, and could even be used to say that they were pre-planned or not, and could tie into gestational diabetes. Box 37 has delivery weight of the mother, which would be used to track pregnancy health and tie into statistics on risk factors related to weight gain of the mother. Incorrect information here could result in bad advice being given to future mothers on the amount of weight that should be gained that is considered safe or healthy. Enter the information on source of payment. You may need to check with your billing department to obtain this information. Once everything is entered, click Next to move to tab 11. This tab is the child's information portion of the record. This has information on birth weight, APGAR, plurality, transferred living breastfeeding, and abnormal conditions. The plurality is used if the birth is single or multiple. If the birth is multiple, plurality unlocks helpful options for your future entries that will speed up your entry time. As with the other tabs, accuracy is vital as child weight, breastfeeding, and APGAR scores are used in most national and state reports. Please note that APGAR is asking for scores at 5 and 10 minutes. It is understood that most hospitals record scores at 1 and 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes if necessary. We only want the 5-minute score, and if you took it, a 10-minute score. Please do not include the 1-minute score you obtained. Also, if the score is 6 or higher, you can leave the 10-minute score blank. Double check that you have entered "is infant living" at time of report accurately. If the infant is deceased, item 16 must be entered as no and no. The question concerning breastfeeding will be blocked out. You should also enter the time of death and date of death details from the case into the comment box on tab 13 if you answer deceased. Once everything is entered, click Next to move to tab 12. The birth weight can be entered in grams or pounds and ounces. If you choose to enter the pounds and ounces, make sure to enter numbers in both fields. For instance, if the weight is 5 pounds and 0 ounces, then you must enter the 0 in the ounces section for ROVER to allow you to continue. Tab 12 contains information on any abnormalities observed. Once you have made the correct selections, click Next to move to tab 13. You can enter any comments you might need about your record, which you want to notify the state birth registrations about, paternity issues, etc. If the infant is deceased, please enter this with the date of death and time of death if known. Click Finish to save the record. After you click Finish, you are presented with multiple printing options. There are radials, or circles, to select for whether you want to print or skip printing each item. Select all the ones you want to print and click the Print button. This tells you what document you are about to print and gives you a Generate Document button to press. Pressing this button will make a PDF launch for you to print, and may leave an empty web browser up for you to close after printing. Once you have printed the document, you would press the Continue button to move to the next page you have opted to print, and you would keep going until you were out of things to print. When you do run out of things to print, you will be given a few options to select from. If you had a plurality of more than one, you would see an option to enter another birth, and it would start a record with much of the information entered for you. Usually, you would either click Main Menu to be all done, or Repeat Task to enter the next birth in your workload. ROVER is not currently able to be used to enter stillbirths. You will need to manually complete the paper forms for these and turn them into the state. A stillbirth is defined as a death prior to the complete expulsion or extraction from its mother of a product of human conception after a period of gestation as prescribed by the State Board of Health. The death is indicated by the fact that, after such expulsion or extraction, the fetus does not breathe or show any other evidence of life, such as beating of the heart, pulsation of the umbilical cord, or definite movement of voluntary muscles. We require stillbirths to be reported to the state if gestation is greater than 20 weeks now, but starting November of 2015, this date will be moved to 12 weeks. On the other end, a live birth is defined as the complete expulsion or extraction from the mother of a product of human conception, irrespective of the duration of pregnancy, which, after such expulsion or extraction, breathes or shows any other evidence of life, such as beating of the heart, pulsation of the umbilical cord, or definite movement of voluntary muscles, whether or not the umbilical cord has been cut or the placenta is attached. If the body is going to be given to the parents, then please ensure that they understand their responsibility of completing a death certificate for their child. From the main page, you can also check on the status of the signature pages you fax into us by clicking on Birth and then Search. Inside here, you would enter a date range to search. Enter the past 2 weeks to pull up your birth records. The record status will tell you if the fax was received or if it had a problem. Any record that says not submitted means that we have nothing and the record needs to be checked on. Submitted for registration and registered records have been received. Please wait 48 hours before assuming not submitted records are experiencing a problem. When you are finished using ROVER, click the Log Out in the upper right corner. This is the end of our online ROVER training. Completing a record in ROVER should only take a few minutes. If you are having any issues with drop-down selections, printing, or just feel like completing the record is taking a long time, contact us and we can help. Please go back to the website to fill out a form with your personal information. There will also be a quiz in the form for you to complete. Once you are finished, you will need to save and email it to us. We will review the form and get your account set up so you can be able to start using ROVER. Thank you again.